Hey everybody, it's Eric, Brad, and Will from the Mature Minded Gamers. We're here to break down episode 8 of Star Trek Lower Decks entitled Veritas.
What's up,
What
everyone?
up?
It's good to be back.
What up?
I missed you guys last week, I'm not going to lie. Doing it by myself felt wrong. What'd you guys think of last week's episode, real quick?
Oh man, I wasn't expecting that question. I enjoyed it. It was a good episode. I like the Boimler focused episode, so I'm gonna just put it that way.
You felt it was more Boimler focused? I kind of felt it was more Mariner focused.
What do you guys think about us getting our second Trek technology or thing named after Boimler? Now they're going to say, Boim me up.
Yeah, that's kind of. I guess that was what stuck out in my mind was the Boim me up stuff. I don't know. I like. So the other thing is between last week and this week, I made the connection that is Jack Quaid, the guy that plays also in the show The Boys, and I'm really digging that as well. So I don't know. I kind of dig that guy as an actor, so maybe that's why I thought it was a Boimler focused episode.
I've never watched The Boys. I've heard it's pretty good, though.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
I thought last week's episode was excellent. I thought you guys would really have liked that one quite a bit because it had a lot of action, not a lot of silly humor necessarily, but we also learned a lot about Mariner and how she used to be the top cadet at Starfleet, and I covered that last week in the episode though, but I thought it was really a really good episode overall. All right, let's get started with this episode 8. We start off on Ketuvon Prime, I believe is how they said that. And we get the whole lower decks crew being put into a prison or a dungeon, I think is what they call it. And they don't seem to really be aware of why they're there. So we've seen this quite a bit, the crew being put on trial for something or, doing something where they're in the middle of a situation where they're being tried by, people, other civilizations more than less than their Starfleet. I mean, we definitely have seen them on Starfleet, but it's typically the Klingons or the Qs or one of the other mini races. So what do you guys think about this part?
I actually chuckled a couple times when they were talking about, is this a prison or is this a dungeon? No, this is a Klingon dungeon.
It definitely reminded me of the whole trial sequence on Undiscovered Country.
Kirk and Spock are put on trial by the Klingons.
Yeah.
Yep, I got that vibe too. All right, so after that whole scene is advanced, we kind of figure out what's going on. They're trying to figure out, looks like something in the past or that the Cerritos has done or the officers have done. You can see the officers floating there, but they're not really talking or doing anything. And so they start questioning the crew members one at a time. And we get the first questioning that pops up is for Mariner. And she takes us back where we see them working on a shuttlecraft and missing a red alert because Rutherford has tried to make it louder for the red alert to go off, I think is how he references it. But he ends up disabling it, so they're not aware of a red alert going on at the time. And we see Boimler and Mariner having to go to the bridge during the red alert because they're supposed to be stationed there. And I thought this scene was really well done, and I really liked how Mariner was like, it's okay, she kind of explained, just always say the captain, yes, your idea is great, and he still Boimler messes it up at the end. But what'd you guys think of this one?
He boimed it up.
Yep.
I mean, I don't know. Like it was the humor in this was subtle. I don't know. Subtle's not even the right word. It was the right kind of humor for me in this episode, in this section as well. Like the way she just kind of said, yeah, whatever you'd want to do, Captain. And the captain's like, you got it. And then when Boimler tried it, I don't know. I can't remember the Bajoran dude that's like the security guy in the background. But the way he was like, man up, this is your time to shine. I don't know. I guess that goes back to liking the Boimler character even more. And the way that he kind of fumbled that was pretty funny. Don't kiss my ass. And I don't know. I really like that part.
I thought it was hilarious, the different maneuvers he was mentioning, and everybody was like, oh,
you're going to get me killed. That is the wrong answer. Yeah.
Well, especially when she said there are no wrong answers. Oh, obviously they were.
I also like the neutral zone map that they showed there on the bridge scene. That that's what they get back from the other ship who's angry with them, and it's one side just aligned with the Federation, the other side's aligned with the Romulans. In the middle, it just says neutral zone. It's supposed to be like this very important map, and it is exactly what everybody knows of the neutral zone.
Well, and the whole reason they were upset is kind of one of those faux pas, I guess. I'm trying to think of other episodes where it happened, but they showed gratitude and that ticked them off. Which I don't know. That seemed like a very Star Trek Next Generation kind of plot twist sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember the Next Generation episode, but I do remember Picard and Troy talking about how the cultures are completely different, and yeah, I remember that too. All right, so next up is Rutherford, and his memory is a callback, him going on a Black Ops mission with several of the bridge crewmen and a couple other people we don't know, and they end up stealing a Romulan bird of prey, but his visor keeps glitching out and he keeps losing memories, so he wakes up in a couple different areas, and one of them he's in a Goran wedding, or he's at a Goran wedding, and they all freak out and start ripping him apart. So so this whole thing kind of turned sour on him pretty quick.
I thought it was pretty funny that every time he'd black out, he'd wake back up and his issue was resolved. But then the time he was at the Gorn wedding, he was getting eaten. He was like, "Oh, go ahead and reset. You guys are screwed now." And then he wakes up and he's still getting eaten.
So another really good part here in this section is Dr. Cat Lady Tiana is having a Beverly Crusher moment. If you remember that episode that we reviewed in the Next Generation, where everybody's kind of forgetting about her and everything's changing and people are disappearing, and she seems to be the only one that knows it. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah, she just happened to be on the wrong ship altogether.
Right.
Yeah, it was pretty good.
Then we get a ton of other little callbacks to officers messing up. I didn't write any of them down individually, but there was several moments about that. And then there towards the end, we finally get to see Q, who comes in, and they kind of make fun of the whole ordeal of how Q has changed things, or Q has caused issues in the past. And what do you guys think about this part?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that the crew of the Cerritos was trying to figure out whatever story whatever the game was supposed to be to defend humanity, and each time it just got a little crazier. That took every scene of Q in Next Generation and basically turned it into a caricature or joke. And so it was a quick way to give Q some screen time here. And so I heard you say it either before the podcast that it was good to see John Delancey. Was it actually him? I didn't see in the credits.
If it wasn't, that was a hell of a good voice, just like him. I think it had to
Yeah.
be. I didn't watch the credits either, but I'm about 95% sure it was.
I'm pretty sure it was.
So we got a couple other Easter eggs in this episode, and I kind of fast forwarded there towards the end. What do you guys think about the end when it turns out that the trial isn't actually a trial at all? It was a party.
I mean, kind of a silly ending. I didn't dislike it, but I don't know. I don't know how to describe it. Like it was more of a that one wasn't really a joke, a Star Trek joke, so much as it was just a cultural joke, about like, oh, you've only paid for this amount of time, get out. And I don't know, the humor in that didn't really have much to do with Star Trek at all. And so maybe that's why I liked this episode more, is that they did have a lot of like what people are considering Easter eggs, where they're just mentioning things from the other series and stuff. But this one had a lot of different components of it that were just, general humor in the Star Trek verse. And so, and this thing kind of just brought all that to a head. I don't know. I think maybe that could be a lot of it why I liked it. I mean, think about like when I'm gonna butcher names this week. I don't remember, but the blue girl, like her
Tindy?
being the cleaner, she's like legitimately the cleaner of the room, and they thought that she was supposed to be like this black ops cleaner, and she goes and she whoops tail and does all this stuff, and everything plays out, and then she comes back and she's still excited to clean the thing. Like that is like, I don't know, a corny type of humor that I kind of like. And, everything with Mariner and Boimler, just say that the captain's got it all. That's kind of could have been a humor or a joke set in any other setting other than the Cerritos here. And so this kind of felt like, to me, like, I know you asked about that scene, but like this whole episode kind of felt like more of what I expected out of Lower Decks a bit, where it's just the Lower Decks crew, how they would be, how they'd be interacting with the Star Trek verse, I guess. I don't know. I'm not making a lot of sense here, I don't think, but there was something different about this episode I haven't seen in the other episodes.
It was actually one of my favorite parts was Tindy's story. I
Yeah.
thought that was one of some of the most humorous. I mean that, and I liked Rutherford's as well. This was overall just a very fun episode to watch, and I think you're right, Brad. This is kind of what I was expecting more about the Lower Decks and what they're doing, and then just how maybe side snippets of how the bridge crew was interacting with them and what they did, and overarching a larger story. And I think this episode did a really good job of wanting me to continue to watch it.
Yeah, I think the last section of this season, last half so far, has all been excellent. One of my favorite parts of this episode, though, went by pretty quick. I wish they would have slowed it down a little bit, but it was when they were in the museum and it had all the starships, and we seen like a whole variety from pretty much every. It seemed like every series. There was a Jim Hadar fighter in there, a Ferengi shuttle, Klingon ships of various types, several shuttlecraft from the Federation. Lots of cool little callbacks. The what's it called? Tellurian Web.
Tholian Web.
Tholian Web. Thank you. I know it didn't sound right the way I had it written. The Tholian Web ship was in there, which was really cool. I really like that whole part of it. We seen the fan dance that Rutherford tried to do, and that is from the fourth movie, I believe.
No, that's from the fifth movie, Final Frontier.
Oh, was it from Final Frontier too? Sorry.
I did like the ending though, when when they're actually getting commendated at the end, and they're like, "Oh, we're going to be more open with the crew," and then they start asking him a whole bunch of questions as far as like to try to figure out what actually happened. Then the captain's like, "Oh, this is now classified. Get out of here." I thought that was pretty hilarious, keeping them in their place.
The same difference. Like, it's just more stuff that just like could have happened in any other series, ever, and just was funnier to be applied to Star Trek.
There's also a reference where a mariner says, if we get kicked off the starship, we'll have to go back to Earth, and all we can do is drink wine and eat soul food or whatever, which is obviously a reference to Picard and Cisco, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I thought that was pretty good. But we got a reference to the Drumhead episode. Boimler, Mike drops it there at the end.
You ever think we're going to get more references to Deep Space Nine? I mean, I know we've seen "quote unquote" that space station, or maybe something similar to it. I mean, but this is like one of the first times that with the soul food that I remember kind of getting reference to Deep Space Nine at all.
Well, the fact that what's his face is Bajoran is sort of a tip to that.
Well, yeah.
I think they're going to keep sprinkling all Star Trek into this in different spots whenever they can.
Yeah, but we're getting Next Generation, Picard this, Q this, Picard this, Kirk this, Spock this. And what was up with the Spocks? When they were knocked out, Rutherford's story? He used Spocks like his plural.
That was just a joke. I think that was him trying to, like, similar to, I don't know. He was just saying, like, referring to all Vulcans as Spocks. Look at these Spocks over here. You know what I mean? It was just supposed to be a joke.
Was one that I didn't get.
Is there any other Easter eggs you guys pulled out of this one? So there's one big one here that went by kind of quick. Phillips, the one Rutherford's boss or whatever you want to call him, who's part of the bridge crew in some of the scenes. Not actually on the bridge though. Whatever. What is he? Chief engineer or something? I'm not even sure what his title is. But when he's losing oxygen and Rutherford is saving him, he says, "Mark Twain's got a gun," which is obviously a reference to the Next Generation episode. And then he also says, "Tasha, no, the garbage bag's behind you," which is, I think, a reference to the Skin of Evil. So it makes me wonder if Phillips was a former member of the Enterprise on the Next Generation. You guys think that's possible?
I'll be honest, I didn't even understand that reference. The garbage bag's behind you. But man, that is actually pretty hilarious.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that he was on I think he just holds a lot of knowledge. I didn't take that as a joke, as though he was.
I don't
You
know
know.
though. I mean, he's obviously referencing a couple of different key points in Next Generation. Why couldn't he have been aboard the Enterprise at some point?
Well, I mean, I can't say that he wasn't, but
What was the chief engineer's name on the Next Generation in
The
season
Forge?
1?
Oh man, there was like 3 of them, wasn't there? I don't even remember any of them.
It was like the guy with the mustache, older dude.
Phillips has a mustache, but I don't think it was him.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. That's just my initial thought was I know he had a name, but it was before Geordi took it over.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up because I don't remember.
It
All right.
was Lieutenant Commander Argyle. That was the
Man,
engineer.
I don't even remember him. I like that his name's Argyle, though. All right, any final thoughts on this episode, guys?
Just that it was probably the first one that I extremely liked.
Yeah, I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was, again, like I said before, one that makes you really want to continue watching. If they continue to do this quality, this type of humor, and this focus more on how they're interacting with individual members of the bridge crew, I think I mean, the show's growing on me. It's getting better and better. If I had seen like this episode, maybe the previous episode as the closer to the beginning, I think I would have liked it a lot more. But I think with all shows, I think they're just kind of finding their way as far as like how the characters act and who they are and the character plot development and stuff. And I think it's getting better and better. I'm liking the episodic feel, definitely. You can kind of see a little bit of an overarching character development, but other than that, there's no really big plot carrying over from episode to episode. Do you guys see any?
I think just the relationships building between the lower deck crew members and learning more about Mariner and her past.
Well,
Why
do you
she-
think she's wanting to stay?
Yeah, I mean, she had the
Yeah.
opportunity last episode to go with her friend. Her friend invited her to join her ship. So yeah, I think she's there. I think she even said that at one point too. I'm still trying to find myself or something like that. So I think that's going to be the main story. There's not going to be a major a conspiracy story going on in the background or anything like that. I think it's going to constantly be like this, which is fine. Like we've said, or I've said from the start, this is kind of what I wanted out of the show. But they are varying a little bit more away from the humor that I enjoyed, but I still like these episodes a ton. Like I don't need the silly humor that the first 3 or 4 episodes had in it.
There was a couple parts in this episode that I actually found myself laughing out loud. And I haven't really done that so far in this show.
All right, what would you rate it, Will?
I'm going to go with on this one a 9.
Brad?
I mean, I've been pretty hard on the episodes so far, so I'm gonna, this one still rates up higher than that, so I'd say a 7.
All right, I'm going to go with a 9 again, which I think I'd give 3 of these episodes 9s now. It's really good Lower Decks, more than what I expected out of the series, and I'm very happy with it so far. So, all right, everybody, thanks for checking out our review. Please don't forget to hit that follow and subscribe button, and have yourself a great night.